I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Please let me fix it so I can play it again. You are a loser.
Whether you thought Venom 2 was a sordid tale of carnage, destruction, and redemption, or you saw it as a symbolic love story between Eddie Brock and Venom himself, you can't deny that the movie left you wanting more. And if you thought the gory fights and snappy lines were wild enough, wait until you take a sneak peek behind the scenes to see what it really took to bring this film to the masses. Venom 2 was released on October 1st, and I still have so many questions. How did they do those suspense scenes? How did Andy Serkis handle being in the director's seat for such a large production? Were there stunt doubles? And my goodness, how did they film that party scene? It's finally time to find out, and I know you're just as excited as I am. So let's get it. Oh, and don't worry, there will be no spoilers in this video. I wouldn't do that to you as Venom hasn't hit all international theaters yet. Chill out and enjoy.
Enjoy the show.
Venom 2 follows the life of Eddie Brock and his new symbiote friend, Venom, 1 year after the events of the first film. The two are sort of like a bickering married couple that has just left the honeymoon stage. Venom constantly wants to eat people, and Eddie needs a break from his energy-sucking antics. Amidst all this, Eddie gets back into his career by interviewing Cletus Cassidy, who refuses to tell his serial killer stories to anyone else. But there is another symbiote on the loose, and Cletus might be the host that it needs to turn the city upside down. It's hard enough shooting any film with the wild 2 years the world has had. The sickness that shall not be named delayed Venom 2 continuously, but actors Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson worked in tandem with director Andy Serkis to ensure that the work gets done. Andy even blurred the lines between actor and director in a very cool way, but I'll save that for last. Tom Hardy recently revealed some behind-the-scenes pictures that not only showed off his stunt work, but shows us how much attention to detail went into such a production. The first picture is of Tom in a harness contraption, which looks similar to this leaked footage of a film scene. Both in the picture and in the footage, we see a man floating and spinning. The same trick was done to Hardy's character Eddie.
All right, have it your own way.
Mask! Copy!
Looks pretty cool, but Tom didn't stick to the stunts alone. He worked hard and even did the voiceover work for Venom. We all know Tom has a knack for creepy character voices, seeing as he came up with the iconic and awkward voice of Bane in Christopher Nolan's Batman. It's hard to imagine that Tom was working on this movie just 8 weeks before having double knee surgery. That's right, another behind-the-scenes fact was revealed when Tom and Andy Serkis did an interview together. Tom stated that he had 2 meniscus disc surgeries after he injured one knee during the first Venom film. How did he injure it? Well, it's not exactly through Tom Cruise style stunt. Turns out Tom made a bad decision when he wanted his character Eddie to wear boxing shoes in the first film. The reason? He stated that he thought he looked cool, so he wore them and they messed him up. The second knee injury came from Tom's active lifestyle. Tom Hardy is an avid Brazilian jiu-jitsu fan, and his love for the sport hurt him in this scenario. This guy is such a committed actor that you couldn't tell he's had 2 knee surgeries just before they yelled action. No pain, no gain, I guess. I bet you also didn't know that Hardy was credited as writer for this second film. That's right, he's getting his writer pen warmed up. Hardy is really committed to his role, but he's not the only one that gave his all.
You need to come out right now. I will let you eat everybody! Promise! I promise! Oh, yeah!
Andy Serkis, who's better known for his iconic and riveting portrayals on screen as Gollum from the Lord of Rings franchise and Caesar from the Planet of Apes remakes, directed Venom 2. While it would have been amazing to see him portray the villainous Carnage, Andy did this film justice. Andy stated that he'd been making this director's journey for a decade, and as you can see in this leaked clip, it's working out well. I won't spoil the scenario for you, but just take a look. The set ran like a well-oiled machine. Woody was on set with his signature red hair as he and Carnage decimated a man. It doesn't look as scary when there aren't any special effects and veiny red goo flying around. You can also see that classy red car that shows up in Tom's Instagram pics as well. A lot of CGI was used in this film, but the on-location process had to be flawless for it to all work together in post-production. The scene also gives us a clue about how they film shooting scenes in Hollywood, and honestly, it's kind of amazing. While this guy unloads a barrage of bullets on Woody's character, you can see he's actually shooting, but of course, Woody doesn't get hit. Why? Well, the secret lies in the blanks that were previously loaded. Don't try this at home, guys. Seriously. The shells fall to the ground, and we all know what comes next. Carnage. Amazing, isn't it? Andy Serkis had more than his fair share of experience with special effects and CGI, which is probably why the effects look so good. I've been making this directing journey for a decade. To enter into this level of fan-based, really adored franchise world, it is a big responsibility, said Serkis. I very much felt it was in my wheelhouse. Creating characters using CG is obviously something I've been involved involved with for the last 2 decades now. I've spent a considerable amount of my life playing a character with 2 sides to his personality. There was common ground there. We can all agree. He also talked about his friendship with the castmates and how the energy was on set. He also talked about what drew him to the Venom project, saying, "Well, it was absolutely because I love what Tom did in the first movie, and Tom and I had wanted to work together for years, so it was just a golden opportunity to play in an environment where you got these marginal characters, dysfunctional, screwed up characters, and then the introduction of this incredible nemesis character of Carnage. We were working with Woody, who I knew well from Planet of the Apes movies, so working with 2 incredible actors going head to head, and of course the other, Michelle Williams, the other actors, and Naomi Harris, it was a no-brainer. It was an absolute no-brainer." But did you know that Woody Harrelson, who played Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage, and Tom Hardy, who played Eddie Brock, lobbied Sony to have Andy as a director? That's right. It might come as a shock to you that behind the scenes, these guys were looking for a director after Ruben Fletcher, who directed the first film, bowed out. Woody and Tom both petitioned Tom Rothman, who is the chairman of Sony Pictures, to have Andy direct. Even Serkis chimes in on their efforts, saying, "Tom asked me to direct this and suggested me to Sony, and I said I'd love to because we always wanted to work together for years." The danger with these big, effects-laden films is that it ends up not feeling connected emotionally. If the audience aren't with the characters and you give it all up for spectacle, then you've lost and it becomes a mess. And I think safeguarding the performances within such a big, spectacular arena was one of the key things that Tom trusted I'd be able to do. And he also spoke on creating a completely different body composition and movement style for Carnage so that it wouldn't be 2 blobs fighting on screen. That was some of the criticism that was faced by the first Venom. Riz Ahmed's symbiote looked too much like the Venom, so it was hard to differentiate the 2. Carnage has a certain fear about him that makes even Venom quiver, and you can thank Andy Serkis and Woody for that. Speaking of the legendary and talented Woody Harrelson, how did he prepare to fill such a scary and dark role, especially with the Marvel fans that would want to see Cletus done right? Well, Woody said, "If I had thought about him having a big fan base with Marvel fans, that would have been difficult for me. I just tried to approach it like I would any other character." He does tell us that he looked at a lot of the comics to see how Cletus could be. He also revealed that he hated the curly sideshow bob wig that they put him in for the end credits from the first movie. So sorry guys, but we're definitely not going to be seeing that wig on screen or behind the scenes ever again. Now we get to the best part. Did you know that Andy appeared in the film himself? No, seriously, I promise. He was in Venom 2, but not the way you think. He wasn't some extra on set or anything. Instead, he played a piece of Venom. Tom and Andy revealed this in a small detail in a recent interview. It turns out that in the scene where Venom taps Eddie on the shoulder and tells him to cheer up, buddy, that was Andy's hand in the Venom suit. I guess he just couldn't resist. If you haven't seen Venom 2, I highly suggest you do. Love, fun, laughter, and pure carnage await. But what do you think? Would you like to work behind the scenes of a Hollywood blockbuster? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, then give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.